Here is the technical model for performing the back squat. The technical model will be broken down into unracking, the start position, the descent, bottom position, the ascent, and re-racking. Unracking the bar. When setting up for the back squat, the bar should be placed in the squat rack at approximately armpit height, as shown. You should position yourself with the squat rack in front of you and the platform behind you to ensure you're always unracking and returning the bar safely at the end of the set. Your grip on the bar should be an overhand claw grip with your thumb wrapped around the bar. This allows you to pull down on the bar, creating torque. If you had a suicide grip, for example, with your thumbs not wrapped around the bar, you'd be less able to do so. To unrack, step under the bar and position the bar so that it rests on your upper trapezius and posterior deltoids. This is the high bar position for the back squat. This position typically places the center of mass above the base of support. The squat may also be performed using a low bar back position, as to be discussed later. This involves resting the bar on the mid-trapezius and rear deltoids, which lowers the center of mass and reduces the lever arm, requiring a technique with more of a forward torso lean in order to keep the bar above the base of support. So with the overhand claw grip and the bar resting on your upper trapezius, your elbows should be bent at approximately 90 degrees. In this position, the athlete is often instructed to pull their elbows back. This shoulder abduction recruits the trapezius, therefore creating a shelf for the bar to sit on, avoiding resting the bar on the spinous processes of the back. Keeping the bar in a neutral position, demonstrating a natural lordotic curve, you should breathe in and extend at your ankles, knees and hips into a standing position with the bar on the back as shown in the video. Then take 2 or 3 small steps back away from the rack. Once unracking the bar and taking 2 or 3 small steps back, you'll now be in the start position for performing the back squat. In this start position, your head should be in neutral, looking forward, in order to maintain a neutral spine throughout the movement. Your shoulder blades should be pulled back. This scapular retraction recruits the rhomboids, trapezius and latissimus dorsi, which helps to reduce the flexion on the spine throughout the descent. In the start position, your chest should be up and out, again with the goal of maintaining a neutral spine. Your foot position should be slightly wider than shoulder width, allowing you to sit in between your legs, preventing the need to sit posteriorly too much in the descent pattern. Positioning the feet pointing slightly outwards at around 5 to 1 on a clock face involves external rotation at the hip. Taking this stance helps to increase the flexion available at the hip joint, and it also encourages supination at the foot, which improves the force transfer throughout the feet. Weight should be evenly distributed at the start between left and right foot in order to encourage even weight distribution and symmetry throughout the entire movement. The lowering phase or eccentric phase of the squat is then termed the descent. Before descending, you should take a deep breath in and hold your breath. Doing this helps to create intra-abdominal pressure, which helps to reduce the compressive forces on the lumbar spine. In addition, you should also tighten your lower back and brace abdominal musculature. The tightening of the lower back and bracing helps to prevent any flexion of the spine during the descent. You should also pull down on the bar as though bending the bar across your back. This abduction at the shoulder helps to again recruit the latissimus dorsi, which prevents any flexion of the spine. You should also aim to screw your feet outwards so your knees track along the line of the big toe. Again, this encourages external rotation at the hip as discussed earlier. During the descent, it's important to keep the knees tracking out along the line of the big toe. This helps to reduce the internal load placed on the passive knee structures during the phase. Once taking a deep breath in and holding your breath, the descent is initiated by flexion at the ankles, knees and hips simultaneously, and you descend until your thighs break parallel to the ground. The tempo of this should be relatively slow and controlled. However, this tempo is likely to be dictated by the load being lifted. Throughout the descent, you should aim to keep your heels on the floor and your weight shifts towards the rear part of your foot. You should maintain a neutral spine with a natural lordotic curve and maintain upper body posture with the elbows pulled back and the chest up and out as before. We can see the bottom position within the video. During the bottom position, you should have your head up looking forward, your chest up and out with the elbows pulled back, and you should be in a position with your thighs parallel to the ground. Weight should be distributed towards the rear foot, which helps to reduce the anterior shear forces experienced at the knee. As during the descent, during the bottom position, we should see the knees pointing out along the line of the big toe. The back should remain neutral throughout. As you can see in the video, once the bottom position is hit, we then move on to the ascent or concentric phase of the back squat. The ascent phase is initiated with powerful triple extension at the ankle, knee and hip joints in a simultaneous fashion. The athlete often is instructed to lead with their chest, which helps to maintain an upright torso position and reduce flexion of the spine. As with before during the descent and bottom position, it's important to ensure the knees remain aligned with the big toe during the drive upwards. There should also be a neutral curvature of the spine and the head should be looking forward. During the ascent, the weight shifts from rear foot to forefoot. Once the erect stance is achieved, you then breathe out. It is important to breathe out only at the top of the position in order to maintain the intra-abdominal pressure that was created. Once the set or desired number of repetitions has been complete and you are in a fully erect stance, you'll then look to re-rack the bar. In order to re-rack the bar safely and technically correct, you should step forward towards the rack until the bar is positioned above the supports or until ideally it makes contact with the uprights, as you can see in the video. You'll then simultaneously flex at the ankles, knees and hips, making sure to keep the back straight. You'll descend until the bar is securely replaced in the rack. This is then the end of your back squat.